Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the best boots or footwear in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. Now we got some underrated options here. There's 36 different types of boots in this game. Some of them require proficiencies to wear, but I'll be going over all of these and giving my thoughts on them. So we got S tier all the way down to roleplay tier, and just plain old boots with no benefits are roleplay tier because you're not going to want to use them once you get anything better. But next we got the disintegrating Nightwalkers, which is actually a set of boots you get really early on in the game. You can get these in Act 1, and they can actually do you the whole game. So the disintegrating Nightwalkers will make it so that you can't be enwebbed, entangled, ensnared, and you can't slip on grease or ice. In addition, you get a Misty Step bonus action, and you can use that once per short rest. So this one is definitely S tier because you can put this on your fighter, and if you got wizards casting grease or ice storm or anything like that, they can run around without any worry, and then they can also Misty Step right to the core of the combat and get into things. So these boots are incredible. Typically in a playthrough you're going to have these on for a lot of the time because there's just so many instances where this can be useful, and anything that gives you Misty Step is amazing, especially in a class that does not get Misty Step. Next, we got the Helldusk boots. This is another pretty solid one. It gives you steadfast, so you cannot be forcibly moved by a foe's spell or action, so you can't get shoved around. You can't get Eldritch blasted off a cliff. That is nice. And you ignore the effects of difficult terrain. So if someone put down plant growth, you're not getting that quartered movement speed. You don't care. You got the Helldusk boots. You also get the Infernal Evasion. When you fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to succeed it instead. That's huge. Being able to use a reaction to succeed a saving throw is absolutely massive. And then on top of that, you also get the Hellcrawler, which is basically Misty Step with damage. So you teleport to an area and deal 2d8 fire damage, and it spreads in a 3-meter zone. Helldusk boots are probably... yeah, they're better than the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. I'm starting off with some of the better ones here, just the way that my list worked out, but we do have some other really nice ones near the end as well, so kind of it just spread out throughout this whole video. But yeah, Helldusk boots, you get them in late Act 3. So the Disintegrating Nightwalkers are amazing because they're early on in the game, whereas these are very late, but obviously much better benefits from this. So yeah. Next we have the Bone Spike boots, part of the Bone Spike set. So this gives a +1 to armor class and saving throws as long as you're not wearing armor or holding a shield. Now, the only downside, this is a barbarian focused outfit. Getting a +1 to armor class is always a great thing. You always want more armor class. But the barbarian's unarmored defense works with a shield. So these would be best suited for if you have a barbarian that's using a two-handed weapon, because they wouldn't be using a shield. Or wearing armor typically. Like if you play as a barbarian, you want to go with your constitution based defense. But these also increase your jump distance by 5 feet or 1.5 meters. So that's quite nice as well. And they also give you the brutal leap, which you can jump at a target and possibly knock it prone. So this is a bonus action, and being able to knock a target prone and then get advantage on your attacks is amazing. I would say they're probably an A tier item. Some people don't like when I put class specific gear in higher tiers, but it's still pretty good. Getting a +1 armor class on your barbarian, that's really good. Or even if you're going with like a two-handed monk for whatever reason, you could get a benefit from that. But brutal leap's nice because you can use that bonus action jump to get closer to the target and then knock them prone. If you're someone that multi-classes your barbarian with thief, you can then sneak attack on them. So that's a quite nice benefit as well. And you get a further jump distance. So they're really good. Next, we got the Water Sparklers. So when the wearer stands in water during combat, it becomes electrified water. That will also happen if you use a lightning spell. So it's an okay thing. But if the wearer starts their turn on electrified water, they gain 3 lightning charges. So this actually works pretty well if you run a lightning focused build, like based on building up your lightning charges. That is a very specific build, so for the general player, most people won't end up using these, but it is pretty good because being able to turn water into electrified water is fun. Just deals a little 1d4 extra lightning damage, which can be pretty good, and you also gain the lightning charges. I would say they're a B tier because most players won't go with a lightning charge build because it's a little bit more complex. Most people don't know what it really does. I say they're still pretty good though, so that's why I want to put them in the B tier. They're not a garbage item. It's just more. It's not like any wizard or sorcerer can throw these on and have a big benefit from them, like the Bone Spike shoes. So I had to put them in the B tier. Next, we have the Spring Hunt boots. So this gives swift strides. When the wearer dashes or takes a similar action during combat, they gain momentum for 3 turns. So that's pretty nice. If you got someone that's dashing often, what momentum does is increase your movement speed by 5 feet or 1.5 meters for every turn of this effect. And so that's effectively an extra 15 feet of movement speed from these. So on top of a dash, which further increases your movement speed. This is pretty good. The Spring Step shoes are great for a class that, if you run like a rogue that's going to be sprinting and dashing often, that can be pretty nice to have. So I would say they're probably B tier. Not good enough to be in the A tier, I don't think, but we'll revisit this later on. Sometimes I do move these around because this is a lot of items to base my whole decision off of. So yeah, we'll go in the B tier. And another note I just want to make quickly, this is a really long video, so I won't be able to do timestamps for these. I get some people asking for that. If you want, you can do it yourself, and I would really appreciate it, but it just takes a whole lot of my own time to be able to put these together and timestamp it, so just want to make a little note on that. But next we got ourselves the Swiresea shoes. Swiresea. So this gives refined vaulting, gives your jump distance increased by 1.5 meters, and you get a +1 to armor class, or +1 to acrobatics. So the bone spike shoes will give you that extra jump distance, which is nice, but they have that knock prone jump and a +1 to armor class. So these in comparison, it's okay to get getting extra jump distance is nice, especially on like a monk. That can be very useful. But the monk also has a lot of shoes, like the boots of uninhibited Kashigo, that's just better. So I would say this is probably a C tier. Getting an increased jump distance is not bad, but it's just not one that you're not gonna be super excited to get this. Next, we got ourselves the Space Hunt boots. These are cool because Misty Step, getting Misty Step is awesome. But what's better than Misty Step? Dimension Door. So this will give us Dimension Door, unfortunately only once per long rest, so you could use it, take them off, and then put back on your Misty Step boots. Dimension Door is basically Misty Step, but you can take 2 people with you. So if you have this on like your sorcerer and you have a wizard as well, you can teleport them to a safe place. It's okay. Like, I like using them. Dimension Door once per long rest is kind of a downside though, because you typically want to use it a little bit more frequently than that. But I might even say just B tier, because being able to use Dimension Door is a nice ability. Albeit being only once per long rest, it's still a decent spell to get. Level 4 spell from this, so B to C tier. It's probably bottom B tier. Next, we got ourselves the Slinging Shoes. So this one is hilarious. So the Slinging Shoes, what do? Well, you throw them. So their ability is the Shoe Slinger, which returns to the owner when thrown, and on hit deals an additional 2d4 of psychic damage. So if you got the Resonance Stone, you could kind of build around this, but the shoes themselves, when you hit a target with them, only deal 1 bludgeoning damage. And the biggest downside to this, if you're throwing these, they come back to you and then they replace whatever shoes you're wearing. I think it's hilarious, so I'm going to put it at the top of the roleplay tier, but this isn't something that you're going to want to use because it gives you a +1 to dexterity saving throws while equipped, which is nice. That's nice, but that is just, I don't know, there's way better shoes, and this is more of a joke weapon. You get it from Terra, so in Act 3, by that point you have much better items. Still really funny though, so yeah, roleplay. Next, we got the Line Breaker boots. So this gives you Adrenaline Rush. So when the wearer dashes or take a similar action during combat, they gain Wrath for 3 turns. So Wrath gives a +1 bonus to damage on melee weapons. So that can be pretty good. If you're using, like, let's say you're going with like a Tiger Heart Barbarian, which has Cleave. Cleave deals half damage to all targets, but as a nice bonus, if you have pluses to your damage, it doesn't get half. So that's a flat out +3 to maybe 3 targets. That's 9 extra damage. That can be good. But using a dash, it's okay. So the +3 attack to damage is nice, but then on your next turn it's only +2, then +1. So I would say it's probably C tier because there is better items out there. It's a nice effect, but by the time you get these, you're probably going to be wanting to use something different. So yeah, I guess you get these in Act 1, so it is pretty early on in the game, but I feel like there's just better shoes, like even the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. So could be like a B tier. I'm just going to put it in the C tier because Wrath is nice, but it's just not a big enough benefit to really warrant it, I guess. Next, we got the Evasive shoes. These are really good, actually. They don't have that beautiful color behind them, but what they do is they give you a +1 to acrobatics and a +1 to armor class. I'm putting these in the S tier because I actually use them. Once I get these, I never really unequip them. And the way you get the evasive shoes is you can buy them from Matisse at the last late in. So I highly recommend not missing these because the +1 armor class is really nice. It's not like the bone spike shoes where you have to have no armor, no shield. These can just apply to anyone. So a sorcerer or a fighter, anyone gets the benefit. +1 armor class is really nice. If you don't know what else to put on your build, more armor class is never a bad thing. So I'd have to say that's S tier because it's just someone's going to likely get a benefit out of it on your team. And yeah, even if you use something like your dimension door boots and then take those off and put these on, that's pretty good too. So yeah, next we got the boots of uninhibited Kashigo. So this gives you the experienced and deadly perk, which when the wearer deals additional damage equal to their wisdom modifier with unarmed strikes. So as a monk, this is one that you almost always want to have on. I'm not going to put it in the S tier because someone will comment and say that's a bad idea, but I'm going to put it in the A tier because that is very powerful. Getting your wisdom modifier added to your damage is huge as a monk because you go boom, boom, and punch twice. So it's basically doubling the damage that you'd get from your wisdom modifier. Could be a +4 or +5 depending on how you built your class. So that could be an extra 10 damage. Really, really nice. Yeah, I would say that's an A tier. And the nice thing about the monk is if you go 9 open hand with 3 levels of rogue thief, you can punch, and then bonus action punch, and then bonus action double punch. So that's like 6 punches or so. So that's 30 damage extra. Really nice. Really, really nice. And then also you can get another bonus action for another 2 punches. So 40 damage, I guess. These are worthwhile. I would say S tier because I love the monk, but I already know someone won't like that, so I won't put it up there. But next, we got the boots of speed. So this allows us to use the click heels, which you can use a bonus action to gain click heels for 1 turn, which doubles your movement speed and inflicts disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you. So you can move around, be a little zippy quick with these boots of speed. That's kind of nice, especially if you have a class that just needs to get around. You can also get these in Act 1, so it's another set of boots that you can get pretty early on. Click heels is a bonus action, which is nice because then it gives you that doubled movement speed, kind of like dash, but as a bonus action. I would say these are probably A tier. Especially early on in the game, mobility is huge on your classes that just don't have it, like a fighter. Being able to move around more is massive, so I would say A tier for those. Next, we got the Boots of Brilliance. So these restore Bardic Inspiration. Play your instrument to restore one of your Bardic Inspiration slots, once per long rest. Those are good. Getting more of your Bardic Inspiration is always nice. I love the Bard class, but it's not as good as some of the other boots on here. So I'd probably say B tier, maybe C tier. These are boots that you use the ability and you unequipped it. So for that, I'd probably just say T tier because it's not something rationale. You're not going to wear these all the time. Once you get the effect, you're probably switching them out. So yeah, C tier. Next, we got the Boots of Arcane Bolstering. Every time you dash, you get you gain arcane charges for 2 turns. So this gives you +2 to the damage of your spell attacks, which is nice. But the target has to be threatened, so it has to have a few targets around it. So you have to have your fighter up front and close, and then you'd have to have yourself close to it as well. It's pretty good, but your sorcerers are typically not going to be dashing, so I feel like this is something that's it sounds good on paper, but in actual practice, it doesn't work out as well as it typically you'd think it was, because the threatened, you'd have to have your sorcerer up close, and you'd have to have your fighter up close too. You had to have 2 close targets to it, so yeah, unless you got the Daredevil gloves with this, it's not that great, so C tier probably. Next, we got the Boots of Apparent Death. Actually, no, we got the Acrobat shoes and then the boots. So the Acrobat shoes give you acrobatics +1, and then advantage on dexterity saving throws. So things like Fireball, much less likely to hit you. That is solid. I would say it's a top of the B tier item. +1 acrobatics is nice too, because it just resists you from getting shoved. But on top of that, the dexterity saving throws advantage is really nice. So I would say top of the B tier, could even go up to the A tier. But now we got the Boots of Apparent Death, which gives Feign Death as a level 3 spell. I think that Feign Death is kind of a dumb spell. I don't find it gets much use. In tabletop, it's probably a lot better, but level 3 necromancy spell, put an ally in a protective coma, they become resistant to all damage types except psychic, so they only take half damage. And disease and poison no longer have an effect. But yeah, you just put your target out of, like, they fake their own death. I don't think it's that great, so I'd probably put it in the C tier. It's just not one that I'm using often, I find. Next, we got ourselves the, let's see here. I'm not sure which one these are. Oh, no, this is the Boots of Genial Striding. Jeez, I almost missed that, but these are good. The wearer's movement speed is unimpeded by difficult terrain. So this is another one that goes really well on your fighters, because if there's plant growth, they're not slowed down. You also get these in Act 1. So that's one that you can use really early on and for a lot of the game until you get something better like the Helldusk boots. I'm putting those in the A tier because the boots of Genial Striding not being affected by difficult terrain is massive on a class that needs to get up close. So I'd have to say A tier for that one. Next, we got ourselves the Tyrannical Jackboot. So it gives us a +1 to Charisma ability checks and saving throws. That's nice, but Charisma saving throws aren't as common as some others like Wisdom or Dexterity. I would have to say these are probably a C tier item. They're just not as good as some of the other ones. +1 to Charisma ability checks is nice, but yeah, you're probably better off with other boots. The Varsh Koku's boots. So these are funky. This actually works well on only specific builds. So acid surfaces don't affect you. That's great. And you're resistant to acid damage. That's also great. Acid damage is not used by the enemy like ever. So you're not going to find this unless you're building around it. Now, there's a lot of acid gear in this game. So if you can get the caustic band, which will deal acid damage on your weapon attacks. And then you can get one that'll cause acid clouds when you create acid damage. And then you're resistant to it with these boots. I would say B tier because I actually played as I did the acid build my first playthrough, just blindly got all this gear, and it synergizes really well, I must say. Now, some people may say, "Oh, this is garbage. If you don't use this build, it's not good." And you're right. It's only good if you have the acid build, but I gotta say, it was a lot of fun having Karlach go in and cleave everyone and create a bunch of acid clouds around her, and then she's resistant to it, and then there's acid puddles everywhere. It's a lot of fun. I would say I recommend it. C tier otherwise, because if you're just not, for the average player, not the best, but they're still pretty fun. Next, we got ourselves the Spider Step boots. So this makes you immune to being in-webbed, and your movement speed is not affected by webs. That's good, but we also get the boots of Genial Striding, which kind of do the same thing. So for that, I would say they're probably like a role play too. I would probably just throw C tier because, yeah, there's better boots in the game, so I have to say it's just fair. Next, we got Mistress Grace. This gives you the bonus action Featherfall. You can cast this at will. That's kind of nice. Mistress Grace can be gotten pretty early on, so it's in the Arcane Tower in Act 1. So you can get them early on, and then the Featherfall is nice to have, and it's castable at will, so that's nice, but I'm going to have to say C tier. They just don't bring enough benefit, I don't think, to warrant putting them any higher. So, yeah, I'll just say C tier. Unless you love Featherfall, which, why? Why? But next, we got ourselves the Cinder Shoes. This gives you cinders, which whenever you burn an enemy, you gain 2 turns of heat. So what heat does is whenever you deal fire damage, or you take fire damage every turn, and you can then use heat convergence and then blast them with heat, kind of like lightning charges. Deals extra fire damage on your next fire spell or attack, basically what it does. So you can build it up, and it's an okay build, but you're going to be setting yourself on fire often. So unless you build around it, it's kind of the same as the acid boots, but the acid boots give you resistance to a damage type, whereas these set you on fire. So I don't know. Fire builds in this game are kind of fun, but it could get some benefit with like the Pyro Quickness hat. I would say they're probably C tier though, because just getting the fire damage to yourself is, unless you're like Karlach, C tier. Not really the best. The lightning charges are just better in general. Next, we got the boots. Or nope, we got the boots of aid and comfort. So with these, when the wearer heals a target, they gain an additional 3 temporary health points. Not bad. Temporary health is nice because you're just going to soak up any extra hits. And if you have it on someone that's using like Mass Healing Word, you can give your entire team 3 extra health points, which is really nice. So I would say B tier. They're just not a C tier item. They're okay. Giving yourself extra health is always nice. And you can even use this, heal your team, and then unequip it. if you really want to get down to things, give yourself like an extra 12 health between the whole team. So yeah, that's not bad. Next, we got the Boots of Very Fast Blinking. You get this from the Genie in Act 3, and it's great. It gives you Misty Step, which is awesome, as I said. You also can get that from the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, which have much more benefit. And it's in Act 3. By that point, you would have already gotten those boots and probably a bunch of other ones. So kind of contested for where it is. I would say, though, Misty Step is amazing on anyone. So B tier for that alone, because Misty Step is just such a useful spell, especially if you got 2 marshals. You can even use the necklace that gives you Misty Step. Any extra uses of Misty Step's always awesome. So I have to say B tier probably for those. And then next we got the... What are these here? These are the Boots of Stormy Clamor. Now, these are actually really good. And I'm going to explain why. So these are just uncommon rarity. Not like crazy if you just looked at it without realizing. But it gives the Arcane Echo Malefication. Mouthful, but what that does is whenever you inflict a condition upon the target, they get 2 turns of reverberation. And then reverberation is one of the most fun abilities in the game because it gives a -1 to strength, dexterity, and constitution saving throws. So the 2 stacks will give -2 to those. And once you get 5 stacks, you can it takes 1d4 thunder damage and then must succeed a 10 constitution saving throw or fall prone. So you can knock creatures prone with this. Building up reverberation stacks on targets is a lot of fun. And yeah, where this gets to be really good, you just have to inflict a condition. Now, if you have the Illithid ability drain, that's a condition. So you can proc this on every attack. I have to put those in the S tier because if you're using Illithid abilities, it's amazing. If you're not, you can build around it and apply conditions to the target. Like Encrusted with Frost is another popular condition. That will stack and apply reverberation to them too. Knocking a target prone is really nice because if they get hit with a reverberation stack on their turn, they lose their turn. So I would say it's S tier. It's a whole lot of fun and really good to build around. Next we got, I believe these are actually on the heavier side of boots. Let me just find these. I will find this one later. I might put it at the end. But these are the Boots of Elemental Momentum. So whenever the wearer deals acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage with spells or cantrips, they gain momentum for 2 turns, +1 to athletics. Now, this is kind of like suited for like an Eldritch Knight, who would deal spells or cantrip damage of those damage types and then need the momentum to get closer. They're not bad, but I just feel like there's better options out there, so I'm just going to put them probably in the B tier. Getting momentum without having to use an action is nice, but you do have to deal spell or cantrip damage to get it, so gives you extra mobility. That's pretty solid. I don't know if I'd say it's A tier, but getting extra mobility is always a nice thing, really. And that's an extra 3 meters of movement speed, so hey, that's useful. Next we got ourselves let's see here. These boots all look similar, so I just have to weed through and find the right ones. The Boots of Striding. So this gives you Focus Stride, which when you cast a spell that requires concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn. When you're concentrating, you can't get pushed or be knocked prone. That's actually really effective because when you're knocked prone, that ends your concentrations, no matter what. No save, you just end your concentration. Having a concentration up gives you that momentum, so you get a little bit extra movement speed. And then also, if you have momentum, prone will remove that. But hey, being able to resist 1 turn of getting your concentration broke is really nice. So I'd have to say these are probably A tier. They're not ones that you're going to use often, but you can get them from Minthara, so they're pretty easy to get. Yeah, A tier. Next we got ourselves Vital Conduit Boots. So the Vital Conduit grants the wearer 8 temporary health points when they cast a spell that requires concentration, +1 to athletics. So that's pretty nice. 8 temporary health can help soak up an attack, so that's useful. And if you have someone that's using concentrations often, that's really nice. And you can get these in Act 1. Similar to the Minthara boots, they're probably better than those by a hair. But an 8 temporary health points is very good survivability, especially early on in the game. That could even be 2 attacks. So I'd have to say A tier. It will get outclassed at some point, but it's very nice while you use them. Next, we got ourselves the Boots of Persistence. So Legendary Mobility. These are great. They give you both freedom of movement, so you can't be, slowed down by anything. Freedom of movement You can't be restrained or paralyzed. So whole person won't even work on you, which is awesome. And in addition, you also get long strider for the extra 3 meters movement speed, and you get a +1 to dexterity saving throws. S tier easily. The armor persistence is really nice, and yeah, these are super solid boots. So freedom of movement and long strider both is amazing. Really, really good. Next, we got ourselves the Unwanted Masterwork Greaves. These give a +1 to athletics. It's in the Forge of the 9. These are another pair of boots. +1 to athletics is not that much. I'm going to just throw them in roleplay tier just because I don't even think it's worth putting in C tier. There's not ones you're going to want to use unless you want to say, I have the Unwanted Masterwork Greaves. They're unwanted for a reason. Yeah. Next, we got the Speedy Light Feet. So this is another lightning-based build. So when the wearer dashes or takes a similar action in combat, they get 3 charges of lightning +1 to athletics as well. So even better than those ones. You can also get these in really early on in the game. So they're in the Blighted Village. Literally one of the first things you can possibly get. If you go with a lightning charge build, these are pretty good. Similar to that one there. I would say probably about B tier because you have to build around it. And lightning charges are a pretty decent source of damage. And some sorcerers or even like fighters can take advantage of it. So yeah, we'll say probably B tier. Next, we got ourselves the Dark Justiciar boots. So this gives a +1 to dexterity saving throws. And you get shadow teleportation, which is not Misty Step, but close. Basically what it does is if there's a shadow, a teleport to an unoccupied obscured spot. So any place that there's a bit of darkness, you can teleport there. That's pretty good, and it regenerates on short rest. Not as good as Misty Step, but it's fun. And, you know, if you're going with a Dark Justiciar build, it could work well. If you're playing as like a rogue, trickster cleric, etc., shadow monk, these could work on them. Although they do take heavier armor. They do require, I believe, it's medium armor. Yeah, medium armor proficiency. So it's mostly for Shadowheart. Actually, you know what? I thought they were pretty decent. I'll probably just put them in the bottom of the B tier or somewhere C tier. Being able to only teleport in a shadow is okay, but a rogue and a monk can't use them. So, yeah, scratch what I said earlier. I forgot their medium armor. But next we got the Blackguard's Greaves. So these give Strider movement. You gain Long Strider. That's really nice. And a +1 to athletics. Long Strider +3 meters movement speed just all the time. That's great. I would have to say probably A tier for the extra mobility that you get. Goes great on a fighter or any class that needs that movement speed. Next we got the Boots of Striding. So when you cast a spell that requires concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn. And, no wait, we already did the Boots of Striding. Let's see, what are these? Oh, those are the Oathbreaker Knight Boots. No. Well, actually, this isn't the right image, but we'll call these... I saved the wrong image. These are the Boots of Psionic Movement. So, this is the only Gith Yankee set in the game. Whenever a Gith Yankee casts Fly, their next melee attack deals an additional 1d4 psychic damage. And they get the Githborn Flying Boots. Bonus action allows them to fly once per long rest as a level 3 spell. And +1 dexterity saving throws. These are pretty good. You have to be a Gith to actually get the usage out of them. So Lae'zel. And she can fly with them. Flying Boots, pretty cool. Very effective because Lae'zel is typically going to be a fighter if you play it role playing accurately. So yeah, I would say they're A tier, but typically you're not going to get... Someone might not agree because no one, like a human or an elf, can't get that benefit, but they're for Lae'zel. Some people also don't like Lae'zel, so they probably won't like this. But finally, we got... Let me find these. I'm not sure which one of these. I might have actually saved an image twice. I'm just going to quickly jump through all of these options. I think I covered every single set of boots, so I might have accidentally saved this one twice. Unless these are the... No, these are the acrobat shoes. So acrobatics +1 advantage on dexterity saving throws. No, I already covered that. So I did save it twice, but there it is. There's all the best boots and footwear in Baldur's Gate 3 ranked on a tier list. This was a lot of boots. So yeah, let me know your favorite set on this and the tier list. My actual favorite's the boot of Uninhibited Kashigo because that extra wisdom on punches is huge. But this just shows I didn't put it in the S tier and it's my favorite set. So I also like the acrobatic boots for the +1 armor class. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know also what kind of tier list you'd like to see next. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.